Let's just get started. So, everybody, welcome out to the Marketing to Win podcast. Today, I've got Tanner Charlesworth, um, and I am really excited to have the conversation today because you've already talked a little bit about. I think the story we'll walk through publicly, which was your Black Friday and Cyber Week kind of campaign. So, um, let's start it off like we usually do, which is give like a super quick intro and set the stage for who you work for, what you sell, explain the business model a little bit so there's that context, and then
Yeah,
we'll kind of dive into the story. And I'm sure I'll have lots of
perfect.
questions as we go along.
Yeah, great. No, sounds good. So, yeah, as you said, my name's Tanner Charlesworth. I am the marketing director at Rustica. And at Rustica, we build custom doors. They're made to order and they're built right in our factory in Springville, Utah. So you pick the custom options you want on those doors. We will build it and then ship that door right to your curb usually. Um, and yeah, so it's been a great thing. I've been there for going on 2 years now, and in the time that I've been there, I've been able to see some really awesome growth. And like you mentioned, particularly some of that big indicators that we're heading in the right direction was the Cyber Monday sale this year, where we just saw kind of broke pretty much any record that we've ever had at the company, especially in my time. So.
Breaking records is always nice. Um, how big is the marketing team?
Yeah, so I actually use a lot of agencies where I oversee the strategy, but I have a team of about 3 or 4 people. I have a couple auxiliary people that come in and go, but about 3 or 4 people that are in-house, and I mostly have them focused on social. So for paid and SEO, I use a small boutique agency, but work really closely with them, and together we've been able to develop some really good strategy that's worked really well.
Interesting. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, okay, so you let's actually just jump in straight into like the Black Friday stuff. So leading into it, like what was your vision, um, and how did you start organizing your people and teams around what you felt like you could accomplish?
Yeah, so I mean, it really started much earlier. Um, Particularly in that year is when I first came to Rustica, they were trying to, well, one, my first week we launched a TV special on A&E. And in that time, they were trying to get every single product we could possibly make or do onto the website. And it caused a lot of issues. There were tables and desks and all of these things that we can definitely build, but it's not what we're known for, not what we're best at. So there was a refocusing of like, okay, you know what? No, we are a door company, and yes, you can still order a desk, you can still order mantles and things on our site, but we're going to focus on what we do best. We can make them the fastest. Our production lines are set up for them, and we're going to really push doors instead of these other random products. I mean, we were looking at having a bed in a box. We were looking at doing, like, I mean, really, they were trying to think of anything that they could sell because we have the capability to make just about anything at our factory. We have injection molding, CNC, metal, laser cutters. I mean, we could make pretty much anything. Um, but when it came down to it, we decided that we needed to focus on doors, and really it came to the focus of our company now is, when you think of a thermostat, what comes to your mind? Is there a brand that comes to mind when you think of like a home
Honeywell.
thermostat? Yeah. Or Nest, right? There's just Honeywell or Nest, right? Those are like the only ones that I've ever heard anybody respond with. But you probably couldn't name a door company. And so our goal is that when you think of a door, you think of Rustica, and that's our long-term goal. Where we want to see ourselves getting to. But in the meantime, it was we just need to help people get there and only focus on doors because that's what we do best. So that was kind of step one. Is we focused on doors and really just doing doors.
How long ago was
Um,
that decision made? Like,
Um, that was, oh, just a couple months after I got there. So I don't know, just say about a year and a half.
yeah.
But then really this year, starting the year, all of my marketing plans were geared towards that, keeping that in mind. So just we're focused on doors.
Yeah.
And it's not just barn doors, it's front entry doors, it's interior doors, it's pocket doors, but doors specifically, because that's what we wanted to do. The next step from there was our pricing strategy. So we actually were priced way too low. Our product is a premium product. It's made, it's custom made to you to order. And so we have, I had the theory that we had a pretty large price elasticity, and wanted to test that. So we increased prices, and basically this actually helped us in a number of ways. So increasing prices obviously gives us more margin, but it actually increased sales. So we saw not just our revenue increase, but our total sales increase. So a great example is our lead times for front entry doors were at one point 8 to 12 weeks. But we had so many orders, it was really more like close to 18 weeks. So we raised prices and then orders increased. So I said, okay, well, obviously, like, we're priced way too low. So we've raised prices 3 or 4 times since then, and have found kind of that spot to where if we go up, then we start to see things decline a little bit. But we're sitting in this spot that does that. And one thing I learned moving into this position, because I came from an agency and moved in-house here, is there's a couple sides to a business, especially a manufacturing one, and that we have to, production has restrictions, and production, it can cause problems. So we had so many doors ordered that people were canceling orders because it was going to be 4 or 5 months before they got their door instead of just 2.
Yeah. It's not like
so we've had to find this.
It's not like software where you can just spin up a new server and then you're like good to go.
Yeah, like we literally, like, we have to hire people, we have to get new machines, or whatever it is. It's not just this quick little thing. So it's been this balancing act of figuring that out. And so we find that price point that allows us to be super efficient on the production side, where we can, we ship out between 45 to 60 doors a day, and we get those out as quick as we can. But then that price point, I realized was really, really important to this. And not only that, our margins were just too small. So we were doing sales, but we weren't able to grow the business and invest more back into the business because our margins were a little bit too small. So yeah, pricing strategy was the second one. And then from there, I developed a social media strategy and an advertising strategy around doors, and focusing primarily on doors, and really focused on working with collaborators. And a big thing for me is I will not pay an influencer. Our product is on average like $2,000 to $3,000. So, and it's made for them specifically, per their request. They get to pick their options. So I will give that product to them in exchange for photos and posts and things like that. But really focused on again, doors. Was really pushing that instead of some of the other products that had been used in the past. And we saw a huge impact from that. The collaborations that we worked with. I did some numbers, and we started tracking in about July of this year. And from July until the end of this year, we were looking at over 6 million, a reach of about 6 million with different posts. So posts that we were tagged in all had about equaling about 6 million impressions, which, doing the math on how much that would cost me on Facebook advertising or Instagram advertising, that was a huge win for me. It was worked really well.
So that's really fascinating, because the influencer game's been around a long time. So, and particularly in like, this isn't an industry I'm very familiar with, but as like a consumer, influencer marketing with like home goods, like retail clothing stuff, that stuff's been around a long time. So was doors just something that maybe like competitors hadn't tapped into? Like, was there like, clearly it was underpriced, because obviously if you're not paying them but they're willing to take the product, there's some sort of value that you saw that competitors didn't see. Or
Yeah. So a big thing is doors aren't something that a lot of people typically would get excited about, right?
yeah.
Like when you're building a house or remodeling, a door is not typically the thing that you get most excited about. What our doors do is And kind of a theme for the company it's basically a piece of living art. And that's what our doors accomplish in a home. Is a door can actually be a centerpiece in a room. And I think a lot of people just didn't think of doors in that way.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of helped create that. And there are definitely within the like interior design, that there's big followings for that on Instagram. Doors are something that do get focused on a little bit there. And those aren't necessarily competitors, but they are competitors in that they take a lot of attention, right? So we've actually teamed up with some of those larger ones, and they use our doors frequently on projects. And yeah, it's kind of just made the door as a focal point. And talking with a couple of the collaborators that we've worked with, we did this beautiful Dutch door, which is the door that splits in the middle. You can open the bottom or the top separately, as an entry piece for them. And it was her highest engagement post ever that she'd ever had. And she had something close to 200,000 followers. And so this one post was super successful. People loved it. Several people ordered that exact door from that post. And so I think it's just brought to the forefront how beautiful doors can be, and that you don't have to get a standard stock door that you would pick up at Home Depot or that a builder's just going to throw in. And so it's kind of just brought that to the forefront for a lot of people, have seen just how much of an impact a door can make in your house. And this is not something I'd ever thought of before I worked at a door company. So it's been interesting to me that I get excited about doors a little bit now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. How did you, was that kind of like a narrative or kind of positioning that you saw beforehand, or was it like something that kind of organically, like you realized as you're working with these influencers, is like how, because I think there's plenty of boring products, and figuring out how to tell a story that can move them from something that you don't think about to something that you really want to think about, that's a huge leap. So how did you help work with these people,
Yeah.
or within how did you position that?
So I mean, a big part of it is that's just what the company is based around. So it's create, inspire, and serve is kind of the motto and theme of the company. And part of that is creating and having a piece of living art in your home, or a functional art is really the best term for it. And so that's what the company has always been pushing, is that we create these doors and they function. It's the highest quality door. It's solid wood. It's solid steel that is cut out and made right there in our factory. It's made, touched by hand. All the finishes, everything's done by hand. It's painted by hand. It's the highest quality craftsmanship that you'll find for door. And then we call it mass customization, where you can pick these options and we can still make it in about 2 weeks. That's just kind of the core of the company, is that these doors are a functional piece, and that they can and should be a centerpiece for your home. And so it was just, that's what we were pushing out there. And so people saw that, and most collaborators reached out to us. I've only had to identify a couple of them and reach out to them. Most of the time they're reaching out to us saying, hey, I found this door. Would you be willing to collaborate? And I think that's because that's the message we've been pushing out, is we create these beautiful doors. And so then it's just been working with the collaborators to really showcase that. And you can imagine how hard it is to get images of doors in use, because I have to build and then install a door just to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
So these collaborators are really, really important, and are a cornerstone to our strategy, so that we can get those images in use. And we work with great collaborators that create this awesome content. And so people see that, and then they want that same sort of a feel in their home. So they reach out and ask, hey, how do I buy this door that I saw on Instagram? So.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so how did all of that prep work lead up to Black Friday?
Yeah, so that really built, and we had we'd set some goals from when I started to in this new year that were pretty aggressive, or what we thought were pretty aggressive, and we were reaching and exceeding those goals every month at this point, because one, our PPC strategy was just doing awesome, and Facebook especially. Again, it's that image based, pushing those ads out, showing these doors and how beautiful they are. And then, yeah, everything, getting the pricing strategy right, doing the social and the advertising. And then for a specific sale, like Cyber Week and Black Friday and everything, I like to do an incentive that gets people to add more to their cart. So that's a big strategy piece that's worked really well. Is in this case, all orders that were over $3,000 got a free shoe bench. So it's an entryway bench that you organize your shoes, but you can also sit on it, put your shoes on. It's a really functional, beautiful piece, and it was actually a do-it-yourself kit. So it's something we would send, and you put it together yourself, but you could paint it, you could do whatever you wanted to it. Because what we see a lot is customers will come and they'll buy the door and they'll get it unfinished, and then they'll try to save some money and finish it themselves. But if we add this incentive, they're like, well, I can get this if I add these two options, it puts me over 3,000. I can get this free gift, so I'm going to do that. And so getting that average order value up is super important, especially for a production company, where we have labor and materials costing that go into everything. We've got to cover those costs, and so that can really cut into our margin when we discount products. So that's a big thing. I do tiered discounts as well. This is a pretty common thing, but we'll do 10% site-wide and then 15% on orders over $2,500. So there's that little incentive to add more to your cart. And we've priced our products so that we can aggressively do these sales. It's worked really well for us. About 65 to 70% of our customers every month are new customers. People don't buy 20 doors in their lifetime, so it's not only that our doors don't break, so they're not replacing. This door it's a lifetime product, and so I've constantly got to keep that funnel full, and I don't have to worry as much about overdoing sales, because it just gives that incentive for them, because it takes 30 to 45 days on average for them to decide and actually convert on our website. So it's a longer conversion process. So being aggressive on promotions and sales has worked really well for us. And we run 2 to 3 a month, which is against what I normally would do. Especially with a company that is so brand centric, where you'd think that we're diminishing the value of the brand,
right?
But it's actually worked really, really well. And in this situation, it incentivizes people to get exactly what they're wanting and not having to do as much of the work themselves. In that they're like, well, I can have these options. I get a little bit more money off, or I get this free gift. Right now, I'm running a free custom thread wallet on orders over 500. So it's we do these kind of things pretty frequently, and that I think was a big point of success for that Cyber Monday specifically, but the whole sale, Black Friday through Cyber Monday, in that time, which was just over a week, we did in sales about what we would do in a month on average. So it was just a huge impact. And again, it goes down to price and strategy. So and then that free gift incentive, I think, really pushed people over to adding more to their cart and adding some other options, or adding the handles and the hardware and just some add-on products that normally wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Did you, as far as one of the interesting things as you're talking this through is that I think a lot of marketers naturally try and build their foundation with channels, right? So the first thing when I ask them about something, they're talking about channels. It might be social, it might be email, it could be the web. But yours was pricing, and it was a lot heavier of a business, more of a focus on, accounting's not the right word, but you're focused on the business model and optimizing the business model, right? So to follow that up with as you were leaning into Black Friday, how much were you talking about different channels, or did you essentially just up the discounts a little bit, or play with pricing and you just did your normal cadence with channels and then it was just better? What for you guys, how does that work?
So we have we do really, really well on Google and Facebook specifically. So we are pretty aggressive on ads there for those channels. We spend quite a bit. And But again, the focus isn't on price on those things because we're a premium product.
Yep.
So our focus is on quality, it's on what you're getting and those sort of things. So we know who our customer is. So I think the biggest thing is, yeah, like channel is super important and we've got a foundation built on that. But before you can really market on those, I think you have to understand one, who you are as a company and what your brand is and what you're trying to accomplish. And for us, that was eventually becoming a name synonymous with door. But right now it was just that we do doors for any part of your home. And we wanted to tell people about that and tell them, one, it's made in the USA and it's custom made for you. So that's where the focus has been on those channels. And you know, like I said, we spend quite a bit. We're pretty aggressive on there. But I mean, we're for the year at over a 4 ROAS, you know, across all of our channels. So it's been working really well. But it started with, well, who are we as a company and what is our brand and what do we want people to associate with us? And that's really what developed that. And then when you look at the sides of a manufacturing company, I could sell, but if our margins aren't big enough, we're going to run ourselves into the ground because I have to get more materials, I have to spend more time on labor, and my costs go up. I only have, again, you know, looking at the kind of the accounting side, my fixed costs, there's obviously fixed costs, our overhead, but I have more costs that change,
Yeah.
Based on orders. So the more we sell, the more that costs increase. So I had to make sure that we were meeting that production side in a way that allowed us to make more doors. So there's been a whole side of the business that's been awesome to see, and we brought somebody in specifically to help us become more efficient on the production side. And so we're now producing more doors a day and a month with 90 people than we were with 125 people a year and a half ago. And it
Wow.
all comes down to, and it's been great working with engineering, working with operations and manufacturing. And because we're a pretty small company, we've worked really closely together on all of this. And that has helped me shape my marketing strategy because this month we have tons of bandwidth on the hardware side, so I can really push hardware. Or this month, hey, we're looking really good on front entry doors. We can double our production on front entry doors, so that's where I'll push that. And it's been really cool to work on that side, which, like you mentioned, you know, it's much different than SaaS, and even different than, you know, a smaller consumer good that you can just crank a bunch out. You order it in bulk, and if it sits in inventory, that's okay. We don't really have those options, so it's helped shape that strategy. And like, we build these things to order, and I'll change a little bit on what I'm pushing on the channels based on what our production capability is at the time.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, so kind of the last question, as you were like leading up to it, when it comes to channels, essentially you've mentioned two, which are social with the collaborators, right? And then the paid ads. So I find that a little bit interesting as far as like it does seem like for a consumer product, it does seem like it's a longer sales cycle, especially since it's custom. So would you say that, like, because a lot of people, especially in my space where it's like automation, nurturing, the idea of like content and nurturing folks, right? Would you say for you guys, the path would be awareness is built on social that drives them to this site, which then allows you to retarget through ads and then they convert? Is there anything missing within that flow?
So yeah, and part of that nurture is we actually have a pretty aggressive email strategy as well. But we obviously don't collect those email addresses until they come to the site. I've focused a lot on site conversion and have added some tools that have doubled our email intake.
Okay.
And so that's really helped bring in some additional revenue and keep in contact there, because we do have that 45 and sometimes it's, you know, up to 90-day conversion window for them, because they know they need a door, they're planning, things change, and they're really just trying to decide what style door they want. So they spend a lot of time researching. So in that time, we'll send, you know, a few, at least an email a day. And so that's really helped. But yeah, remarketing and retargeting and then emails, I think, is some really successful points that we've really been more aggressive with this year than any time in the past.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. That makes sense. So, um, with email, do you have like nurturing that's not just discount specific? Like, how do you keep those
Mhm.
people engaged over that 45
Yeah,
day window?
this has been a big area of focus over the last like 4 or 5 months. Like we've doubled our email sends, but with that, we're not just sending out, "Hey, this is on sale." We're doing customer features. So the collaborators that we work with, and customers like to send us their photos when they install the door and the before and after. So we'll do features on these products, and then we really are getting better at new product releases. So as we create our products in house, and we make them and then get them available on the site, we'll send out these emails that people really like to see, these cool new products that we're coming up with. Um, One of those, for example, was we made these small, when everybody had to start working from home, we made these small desks that would just mount to your wall. We actually sold more doors from those ads than we did desks, but people just
Right.
like seeing these cool new products.
Yeah.
But on those Facebook campaigns, they went to our site and then we sold more doors with that than we ever did. Than we sold desks in that campaign. Um, it just these cool products get people interested in the brand and they really get excited about what we're doing because
Yep.
we have a full engineering team there that builds it and then we make it right there in the factory. So people seem to like that. We're starting to do a lot more behind the scenes stuff, showing stuff being built and making. So we're sending all this out in email, and then when we have a sale, we obviously do that. And because we do two a month, we get pretty aggressive with that. But we're always featuring new products. We're featuring um, if we've got a new color or a new hardware set, whatever. So that's where we send more emails than just promo emails. It's in this is what we're doing,
Yep.
this is what's going on, and people really like that sort of thing. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. I think, yeah, for anybody trying to build a campaign, whether it's Black Friday or leading up, I think you've really outlined some excellent, like a really solid blueprint of what not just short term success for the campaign,
mhm,
but like making it long,
yeah,
and especially with the complexities in like a manufacturing business, which
mhm,
is a whole different game than SaaS or some other
mhm,
kinds of products. So
yeah,
um, yeah, thanks for the time. If you want, for those watching or listening, if you want to go actually see what he's talking about, go to Rustica and look at their site. Try and find the collaborators and stuff, and get an idea of what Tanner's talked about. And yeah, just appreciate the time, man. I'm sure we'll keep interacting on social and all that stuff.
yeah,
And
great.
we'll chat. We'll chat sometime soon.